insights and tips. And right now, you have the opportunity to hear from the best of the best of the best. You have an opportunity to hear from 4 individuals who have created superstar diamond businesses, not in just one business center, but in 2, 3, and 4 business centers. And what is incredible about that is just, number one, that's incredible in and of itself, but it represents consistency over time, over 8, 9 years of building, and never letting up and focusing on the right kind of activities. So we're absolutely thrilled to have you hear from, in this order, from Superstar Diamond 4 Coach Lindsay Matway, Superstar Diamond 3 Coach Danielle Summers, Superstar Diamond 2, Christy Dwyer, and Superstar Diamond 2, Melissa Calabrese. Please come up. The stagehand backstage are kind of going, why are you so lucky? How do you get to do this? You know, and it's just like, someone has to do it. So, so it gets to be me. So I'm just going to sit and look at you guys, okay, for a few minutes. Now, in all seriousness, congratulations. And as I sat backstage and preparing for this, I always try and figure out, okay, what is it? You know, kind of what's the formula? What is it? Because there is something that happens that creates this kind of success, over time. And I think I could go to each one of you and kind of point out this uniqueness that you bring to the table. But there's certainly this passion and consistency. And one thing as I was sitting backstage, don't get into this, but it just kind of hit me, is just as each of you've grown in your leadership, it's interesting that I've seen you become these more quiet, powerful presences. No need to be out there necessarily, but there's just this quiet power that just kind of resonates and grows. But it's kind of dawned on me. But let's jump into these. Okay, so Lindsay, so you've created 4. You're the first to achieve Superstar Diamond 4 status in the entire company. You moved to 3 and 4, so that's pretty incredible. But which was hardest? Was it hardest to be your first Superstar Diamond business, or the 3rd or the 4th? Which one?
Definitely the first. But, if I'm totally honest with you guys, I would say that's been easy compared to what it was like, those first few months, maybe even the first full year, to get to that consistent, $500 mark. I don't know if you guys agree, but I kind of view it, I'm pregnant right now, so I'm going to do a baby analogy. As a baby coach or as a baby, you trying to learn how to walk, you have to crawl first, fall over a lot of times, you have to learn how to pull yourself up on the table, you're wobbly, and then eventually you take your first steps and you start to move faster and faster, and all of a sudden, I know you guys have never had a child before, that was a toddler, they go from walking to running very quickly. And I view this business very similarly. I mean, in the beginning, it's just such a struggle to even stand up, and I look back at that time, and I think about that all the time with my personal coach. I think about that with you guys as I, meet all of you, that you're in the biggest struggle, the biggest challenge of your entire business right now. You're in the thick of it. So the good news is that after this, it gets better. It gets easier with time, but it's just a confidence thing. It's a skill thing to build those muscles and to be able to learn from your experiences and your failures. So embrace that you're in the thick of it, but in no time you'll be surprised at how fast you can run.
Yeah, no real getting around that stage.
No, you can't skip, the stage to learn how to walk. So.
Yeah, okay. Janelle, so as you look at your business, and if you were to look back 8, 9 years ago, what were you doing at this stage in your business back then? Were you doing stuff differently than you see now? What were you doing way back then?
Well, when I first started this business, I was working full time, and of course being a mom, a wife, and I was just extremely busy. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate. I mean, even if you're a stay-at-home parent, you're busy. And I was overwhelmed, and I think a lot of people, experience that when you're new in the business. Just like Lindsay said, it's your hardest point is like your first year. And so working full time, and I worked full time in my business. Worked full time while working my business for the first 2 years of my business. And so I really just had to be very, very focused in getting like the critical work done early in the morning and then late at night, and making sure that, I was working from a to-do list and just doing those activities that I knew were going to move my business forward, and not doing anything else until those things were done. Like really just eating that frog, getting those things done, and not scrolling the news feed, getting distracted, really having focused time. And that was one of the things I did right. I did a lot of things wrong, but that was one of the things I did right. I was very, very disciplined about working my business. And, working from a list, you've heard before, if you're not working from lists, then you're probably not working your business. And also just a lot of personal messaging. I mean, we all do a lot of posting, and that's great, and those are kind of like mass invites and mass sharing, but when you're sharing one-to-one in those personal messages, that's just so key.
Gary Vaynerchuk yesterday, he talked about the importance of responding to those messages,
Yes.
and that he does that, not just throwing it out, but having the discipline to do that, creating the connection. So, okay, Christine.
Yeah.
So there's the work part of this, and then there's the mind part, of building this business. So over the last 9 years, how does mindset play into all of it?
It's the number one thing. You really have to focus first on your mind. It's not a matter of trying to sell the most or to have the most people join you in your business, because if your mind isn't in it, seeing past the struggle, seeing where you're going, just like Shaun spoke about this morning, you're really not going to be able to see where you can possibly go. You'll let those obstacles and those hurdles stop you. And so working on your mindset has to be point number one. And I know for myself, I lived in a place of feeling like I couldn't ever move up the ladder in my business, but it wasn't until I started personal growth and development in 2002 with Tony Robbins is when I finally had a switch go on and started to really add that into my life. And that's where I saw my potential and belief in myself first. That's the belief in myself, but also what I was really passionate about and what I really wanted to do. So that mindset really has to be of complete conviction. You have to really know that you're going to keep going forward even if you're going to hit that struggle and that obstacle.
I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but life is Christ's life, so if you're struggling with it, all you do is attract other people that are struggling with it.
Yeah, what strikes me about what you're saying is, well, when you talk about conviction, there's in the personal development aspect of that is, there's what I've seen from all of you, there's a very thoughtful, intentional investment in mindset. And sometimes I think we say, yeah, read personal development, but there's a deeper level there that's being very thoughtful to say, how do I improve myself? How do I grow myself? So go into the process intentionally and very, very thoughtfully, and I think you pull a lot out of that. Excuse me. So Melissa, a lot of times we have the question, do I go with my strengths or do I strengthen my weaknesses? What have you learned over time about that?
Two things. Okay. Get choked up yet. I can start. First off, you don't have to be blonde to be successful. And second of all, did you guys get that warm, fuzzy feeling from Gary Vaynerchuk yesterday? No. But the one thing that he said that really stuck with me was that he didn't really focus on celebrities and what they were doing and how they got successful, more his parents. And so if there's anything that I can share with you today is, you see us four up here and some amazing speakers this weekend. And we've got Lindsay with her faith, we've got Janelle with her amazing fitness, Christine with her business mind, and as like I mentioned earlier, her amazing choreography. And we have nutrition. And so whether you follow us or any of these successful coaches on social media, you're like, I want to do what they do. You want to be inspired by these people and draw ideas from them, but you don't necessarily want to imitate them. You really have to stay in your lane. You have to be in your wheelhouse, as I hear it sometimes, but be you. Find what really makes you passionate about this business, and it could be anything from time management to organization, anything that you love to do, because if you do what you love to do, then you will be here for 7 and 8 years still loving what you're doing. So you gotta stick with your strengths, I think.
That's awesome. I'm going to keep coughing here. But I can't remember where I heard it, but someone also said it's this concept of you won't do things long term that aren't in alignment with your values or outside of your strengths. And so you can kind of fake it for a while, you can kind of get short-term results, but just like your strengths, I mean, you've got these strengths for a reason. Go with them and massage them in a way that work with the business, or else over time you'll just get tired and it won't be fun anymore. So, yeah. So, Lindsay, again, 4 business centers, 15-star diamond. I've known you since almost the beginning. I remember our first meeting. Very driven, very goal-oriented. You know, if I were to paint a broad brush, I'd say, oh yeah, this woman accomplishes every single goal that she goes after. Has there ever been any misses along the way? And how do you deal with those?
So first off, before I met you, I was an habitual quitter. And so for any of you guys who have been serial entrepreneurs or quitters in the past, you can change, okay? You can become the driven person you need. But yeah, I guess almost all the time. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. I actually had Jimmy Red send me a list of all of my lifetime diamonds back in March, and I remember I was like, I'm curious how many people, you know, are still diamond or have people in rank advanced. And I went through and I was like highlighting in yellow the people that weren't diamond, and I got like a really yellow, and it kind of hit me like, wow, I need to share this. And the fact that at the time I had people who had 83 lifetime diamonds, and I had lost at that point 33 of them. So only 50 of the 33, which is still a lot, but think about that. How many of you guys have lost rank at some point, right? Okay. I'm sure, yeah, we all definitely have. It's a struggle, right? You feel upset, especially, you know, those of you who are star diamonds at this point, you lose that diamond with gut wrenching. Unfortunately, that doesn't go away. You know, I don't have some miracle formula where all of a sudden I start somebody and every single person's successful. I still have people, I have long conversations with leading up to the signing of this coach. They sign up, I'm getting ready for a call, and I find out they canceled, you know, within us not even talking. So, embracing the failures, looking for what you know you could have done better, but also accepting the fact that this is not meant for everyone and being open to the lessons that they teach you is a part of becoming a great leader. And it's definitely been a very big part of my journey, and we'll continue to do another great stuff every aspect.
I think just the willing to learn from those moments as well is what prepares you for the future. It's that falling forward, it's that the rinsing and repeating. You kind of go, what did I do wrong? How could I get better? And again, it's not always for everybody. And I think part of the learning process is to identify the characteristics of, is it going to work for this person or not? And if not, then you got to love and release. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So Janelle, we won't talk about your business here, we're going to talk about their business now. You're observation, but as you look at new coaches coming into the business, okay, and you've seen a lot come in, do you ever shake your head and just go, please don't do that, no, don't do that?
Yeah, when new coaches are starting off, or even just anyone who's maybe been a coach and then suddenly starts to dig in, one of the first things I think, you know, we see outwardly that we all kind of see on social media sometimes, you know, just being too salesy or something like that. But really what makes me, and I think that's natural because we're all just really, really excited when we start digging in, and that's just a natural thing to do. We've all done it. But what really makes me shake my head and say, oh gosh, please don't do that, is when they have been working consistently in the business for like 2-3 months or so, and doing, you know, so well in my mind, they're doing all the right things, but yet they have this mindset shift all of a sudden where they feel like they're not good enough, and their business isn't taking off fast enough, and they're not where they think they should be, and they really just start kind of giving up on themselves. And I see that happening, and it just makes me cringe because I know I've been there. I've been there where I only had 2 people join a challenge group and 2 people join a sneak peek, and one of them was from the UK and couldn't join anyway, and the other one didn't speak. So I mean, I've been there, and I've had the clean eating groups that bombed. I mean, basically all my clean eating groups bombed. So I mean, I've been there, and I just want to tell them, like, look, like Lindsay was saying, your first year is your hardest, your first few months your hardest, you're in that climb, and it's not necessarily easy. Just enjoy what you're doing, and you've got to stick with it, and just be consistent, and learn to love what you do, and be patient, and just be consistent consistent and just develop that thicker skin because you're going to need it, and you're going to become a much more confident person as a result.
Yeah, it's what, I mean, you don't want to keep quoting Gary, but I mean, yesterday, maybe, no, he had so many salient points, but you know, yesterday when he looked out on the audience and he just kind of called it out and he just said, you know, the challenge with you guys is not that you're not willing to work, it's that you're not going to be patient enough.
Yeah.
You know, like good things happen. So I did an overnight success, but it took me 20 years. You know, nothing's going to happen that fast.
Yeah.
It's going to take time. Okay, Christine, just as you've been in Beachbody now for 9 years? 8 years. 8 years and 8 years. So over that time, you've evolved. You've changed. Talk a little bit about the reinventing, recreating yourself process.
Like my hair. The process, obviously. It's definitely always something that you are constantly evaluating, and I never feel like I have things rolling and that this is finally the system. There's always just get something rolling, see what happens, and then you have to constantly keep tweaking it. There's no way to ever have the perfect anything because everything changes all the time. It's really human behavior, how we're interacting with each other, how social media is changing, and just learning processes. But I also think because when you grow and you learn more about how other people learn, you have to change how you teach too. So constantly just putting something out there, don't worry about being perfect, but as it's going, it's going to be messy, and then you just keep tweaking it. And when you learn a new skill, you kind of throw that in there. It's like a big stew that's never done. And you're constantly making it better.
If there's a curious, I mean, again, one of the fun characteristics of you guys is that there's a curiousness about you as well, where there's how does that work? How did it work? And then taking the time to say, maybe the stew could be a little bit better if I put a little bit more of this or a little bit less of this. And so I think, you know, that's kind of the takeaway for these guys. Are you curious enough to play with some things and be willing to fail a few times?
Melissa and I were talking in the bathroom. Girls do that. And we were saying, I think anytime you do think I've got this, that's when you start to fail. You start to move backwards because this business is not the same as it was last year, 2 years ago. Like, you don't evolve, it'll grow past you. All of a sudden you're way behind.
Yeah, when you're through changing, you're through.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, Melissa, something I really admire about your business is we talked a little bit about this in Bora Bora, but we look at a lot of coaches, and this is just kind of the way you build is that you don't recruit as many coaches as some others, and in spite of that, you have consistently been at the very top of the business. Right now, I think you're in fifth place from elite point standpoint. You've been on 4 Elite 10 trips, but you don't recruit at the high level. So the question gets down to quantity, quality, balance. How do you make that work?
I want to speak from just personal experiences. Oh, I'm sorry. But for me, when February came around this year, my husband and I decided to have dinner together, and I said, don't worry, honey, I'm not going for top 10 this year. It's cool. And the leaderboard came out. Guess what number I was? 11. I mean, that's like, right there. And I was like, can I try? And so I decided, to pursue top 10 again. But at that next month, I hit I signed 8 coaches. Nobody got to help me with this.
Yes.
I signed 8 coaches in March, and that brought me up to number 8 in the company with 8 coaches. And then in April, 8 again. And then in May, I signed a whole 9 coaches, and I bumped up to number 5. So if there's anything that you can learn from me is it's not always about quantity, it's about quality. If you really invest in the people that you bring in, and I point to these 2 ladies because I know you understand that sometimes you don't in the beginning believe in yourself, but if other people believe in you and they know your goals and they know your dreams and they're there for you, it'll push you to be successful. And so sometimes when you bring in a whole lot of people, it's very difficult to be able to give that to those people. And so it's not always about quantity. If you invest in the people that you bring in, you'll have a very successful business.
All right. So Lindsay we look at this group, you kind of approach the Team Beachbody opportunity a little bit differently. The three of these individuals have been more professional fitness, if you will, and lead with the fitness. And whereas you've taken more the path of leading with the business.
Right.
And tell me a little bit about that, how you made that work well.
So I do remember after I had done P90X, after having my daughter and got in great shape, I remember initially finding out about coaching. Of course, having presenters, I was like, oh. And I remember looking at them and seeing their videos, and they had all this choreography. And guys, I'm not coordinated as a dancer, so I'm like, dang, I'm really turbo. And initially, I was thinking, gosh, I thought I'd duplicate what they do. But then I had this like real moment with myself where I realized people were going to relate with my story, my journey, and how the business or how the Beachbody opportunity had affected me. And really, P90X for me wasn't just about getting ripped. It wasn't just about getting in great shape. It had changed me mentally. I was in a funk after having a baby and going through bankruptcy and all these hardships financially. And going through P90X was my leverage overcome. It was the thing that taught me, okay, wow, if I stay focused and I make little efforts every single day to push myself a little bit further, to stronger every day, that I could change my life. And I thought, wow, what if I applied that to coaching? And that's exactly what I did. And I shared my message of, hey guys, train has left the station. I am going all in with this business opportunity. I've seen what the products do. I knew I've been using the products. But I needed more help financially than I did with getting back in shape. And so I sort of shared my journey authentically. I found my place in sharing my faith, and I found my place in the fact that I liked fashion, and I started to attract like-minded people. And there were other moms and parents out there that wanted to be at home with their daughters the way that I wanted to be at home with my daughter. I find that the more authentic we are to who we're just naturally our story, we forgot a lot this week, the better we'll do in this business. If you try to make it so you make it and be like whoever else is up here, if it's not your truth, it won't resonate. It won't resonate with people, and like you said, longevity-wise, you can only pick it for so long. And so that's what I decided to do, and I just ran with it, and I built my own team. I was alone in this business when I started, and instead of making the excuse like, well, I wish I had that, I just decided to build that in my own terms.
It seems like it's working.
It's bad.
Well, Janelle, as you look at people that, if you were to say, here's the core activities that you see people being successful, your coaches being successful, how would you specify what those business activities are on a consistent basis?
Yeah, I would say that it's coaches that are engaged in the trainings. They're actually taking the time, because it does take time and it is hard. Especially if you work and you have to watch that recording, it's hard to make that decision that you're going to set time aside to watch a recording of the training or whatever. But they actually watch the trainings, they take notes on the trainings, they watch the trainings twice, and then the key is that they apply what they learn, and that's huge. You know, when you see that coaches that are brand new and they're just as scared as everyone else to make that first video or make that first post or whatever it may be, but they do it, and that's when I know that someone really has great potential, is that they're actually doing those activities that really matter, even though they are scary and you do feel overwhelmed and you don't know what you're doing, that they're doing it anyway. Sometimes you have coaches that are doing those things and they still don't stick with it, and it's sometimes just not, it has nothing to do with anything you did. It's out of your control. But there are those coaches that do that and they stick with it, and those are the ones that are going to go long-term in the business.
Good. Great. So Christine, if you had a do-over,
Yes.
you know, a mulligan, so to speak, you know, in your business, as you look back at your growth and said, boy, if I could have done this over or that over, you know, I learned from this, what would that be?
That's a common question. I don't know if you guys get that. People emailing you. What would you want to do from the beginning differently? The first thing is I don't feel that any movement is a mistake. I think that we learn from every process. So yeah, that may have not worked out, but it's a learning process. So there is no, oh, I wish I didn't do that. It's like, oh, well, that didn't work out, or I learned from it. So that's always the first thing. But I will be very honest and say that I always relied strongly on just my memory and like the photographic memory and writing down things. And I did it for a majority of my years, for the first like 5 years, where I didn't have a tracking system or follow-up system with people. And I would rely on people just coming back to me. So I've lost a lot of people that I've known personally to other people because I didn't follow up with them, and it's because I didn't have a tracking system, and I just depended on them following that. So that's really, if I could go back and start from the very beginning, what would I do? Is just really work strongly from having a list more so than just on a notepad, but to really have it in a tracking system and to have a follow-up system that I follow. And I'll be very honest, I didn't want to call people because I didn't want to get a phone. And so I'm like, well, just email me. And so I didn't, and I just relied on them. So that's one of my, I guess, do-overs that I would do from the beginning, is just really follow up strong.
Well, I mean, they always say fortune is in the follow-up, and unless you have a system that helps you do that efficiently, you're just giving away opportunity, you're giving away business. So that's a great one. Okay, last question, Melissa. This could probably apply to everybody here, I think. But 8 years later into the business, what keeps you motivated?
If I could share real fast that, no, I won't share that, I'm gonna cry. What keeps me motivated when I first started was me finding my inner drive. I had kind of lost it there for a while. And so starting this business gave me the opportunity to just kind of do something for myself and to make little goals and achievements, and that felt really good. And then it got to the point that I started doing it for my husband. I wanted to fight for him. I wanted to bring him home. And then now it's we both, now that he is home, him and I both fight very, very hard and stay engaged, stay passionate in this with the team. It's all about the team, and every single coach that comes in has, what you guys just said, has all that potential to be where we are right now. And I'm hell bent on getting to here.
I love it. I love it. Well, and again, we touched on this, I think the last couple of days more than we have in other conferences, but it's this is a business about helping each other, and it really is helping them get results. If there's a conversation that I have with Carl, that there's a thread that goes through it is, he doesn't always know the answers, but the piece always is, we need to help people get real results. And if we can do that, everything else will fall in place, and it's just what you're suggesting right there. Well, we could go on for a long time. Unfortunately, we can't. But again, I just want to say congratulations and thank you to the four of you. You guys have built some incredible businesses. Unquestionably, you've touched a lot of lives, impacted a lot of lives along the way. People out there, you say, yeah, I would love to be here someday, and you're sharing some tips and insights I think makes it just a little bit more achievable. So thank you so much. One round of applause for our... So we're not done, okay? So we're not quite done. So we were backstage, and I was saying, you guys practice your Chalene moves, and I was showing them my Chalene moves, and I said, we're so much better than you, Jeff, on this. I said, so Roy, I'm going to make you prove it on the stage. I'm going to make you prove it on stage. So we're going to make you prove it right now, if you can do this. Can we get some music?